Do you want to level up as a writer and learn to write faster? Writing faster means you can get your work out to the world faster and possibly make more money. Today, I'm going to share with you the top 5 hacks on writing faster by published authors. Hello writers in training, and welcome to my channel where I offer writers like you ways to develop your writing skills and self-publish your work. I'm Shannon, a self-published author writing under the pen name SC Houston, and I want to learn how to write faster. Writing faster is a good skill to learn because the faster you write, the faster you can revise and edit your work and then get your work out to the world and keep the momentum going. So I spent some time exploring authortubers, authors who also use YouTube as a platform to share their writing and their writing tips. And I was more interested in how I could write faster and increase my speed when I sit down and start writing, but not specifically how to write more overall, which includes things like setting a schedule, making short and long-term goals, being consistent with my writing, and experimenting with my writing times and locations to see what works best for me. For me and my lifestyle, I don't have a lot of options with my schedule and writing space because I'm a mom with an autistic child. I have to take advantage of whatever is available to me that day. And to that, I already make my short and long-term goals. So here are the top 5 hacks from authors that made the most sense to me and are things I can incorporate into my writing right now. Hack number 1, prepare in advance. Several authors offer this tip, but I love Abby Emmons' breakdown on this idea. Author of the young adult fiction novel 100 Days of Sunlight, Emmons says in her video, How to Write Faster First Draft Without Rushing, 5 Hacks for NaNoWriMo, that the first thing to prepare is the outline. I love her explanation for why an outline is important and how she addresses the pantser who writes by the seat of their pants and who doesn't typically like to outline. She says that writers write slower, sloppier first drafts when they have no idea where they are going. And she says the best secret weapon for writing fast is scene cards. To level up as a writer and write great scenes without guessing what to do next, scene cards can be a valuable tool. Emmons learned about scene cards from the book Story Genius by Lisa Cron. Essentially, scene cards are a tool to help you think about what you are doing with the scene before you write it, like having a mini outline. Creating a scene card is really simple and has 4 parts. Establish the scene setting, time and place, and if the action is interior or exterior. Write 1 sentence for what happens in the scene, identify the main conflict or the character's agenda, and figure out the emotional arc of the character from the beginning emotion at the start of the scene to the ending emotion. Here is an example. Interior, Rowanberry Forest. Mid-morning, Lily stands guard as her sister frees a small man's beard from a tree. Lily would rather get back to hunting for food than help a strange man so close to their home. She struggles with her sister's trusting and impulsive nature. Lily begins the scene sad, unable to overcome her guilt over her other sister's death, along with the irritation at the interruption from the strange man. The scene ends with just a bit of wonderment from seeing the small man, then having an eagle try to attack her. Other authors also suggest preparation, such as young adult author Sarah Cannon, who says to plan your writing in advance by writing it down, or if you're a pantser, then to at least visualize what you're going to write. I also found it interesting that science fiction and fantasy author Chris Fox said that he does 2 hours of planning for 1 hour that he writes. Then there's the plantser, a hybrid writer of a pantser and a planner, Alexa Dunn, who also plans ahead by doing some outlining or writing a synopsis of her story. And then she also mentioned one writer who writes 1 to 3 sentences for each chapter before starting. I do some outlining already, but I like the idea of scene cards to help me write faster. Hack number 2, no distractions. This hack seems like an easy one that many authors repeat, but it was the specific tips from these 4 authors that really caught my attention here. And the one that surprised me the most was from romance writer Courtney, who is one half of the USA Today best-selling author duo Kennedy Fox. Here's what she said helped her to level up as a writer. The number 1 thing that has helped me get 17 to 1800 words in an hour is not to write on my MacBook Pro. She still types her work, but she uses a wireless keyboard with an iPad, and the reason why this works for her is because she's addicted to social media and electronics. When she's on her laptop, she'll spend time interacting on social media and using Photoshop instead of writing. After 1 week of using this method, she wrote a total of 23,826 words, and that was on top of having a day job at the time. Other authors have their own methods for limiting distractions. Sarah Cannon puts her cell phone on airplane mode. Science fiction fantasy author Meg Latour puts her phone away and turns off her Wi-Fi. And short story writer Shaylin Bishop also suggests using a wireless keyboard and turning down the brightness on your screen so that you can write without looking at your computer. Hack number 3, write a bad or zero draft. In her video, Fast Drafting Tips, What is a Zero Draft? Young adult science fiction, fantasy, and thriller author Alexa Dunn gives a great explanation of what a zero draft represents. Essentially, the zero draft can work on a psychological level, as a first draft implies a finished draft. However, first drafts often need more work to become readable. So saying zero draft can relieve the pressure from the need of feeling perfect. She goes on to say later that the zero draft comes before the first draft, where you want to write for substance and not style. This captures the idea of writing fast without stopping and includes the often reported tip to not edit as you write. Essentially, the zero draft will always have something that needs to be fixed. Many writers have a hard time not editing as they fill up the page, but Chris Fox gives a brilliant reason about why you shouldn't do this, as he refers to the flow state. What I discovered is the most important part of your writing career. Doing this consistently and well is going to be your ability to manage flow state. Flow state, it is also known as the zone. That's what athletes call it. If you go back to ancient Greece, they refer to it as your genius. This flow state concept is something that is studied very heavily these days, and one of the things that modern science has allowed us to do is to see how it works neurologically. We can quite literally see which areas of your brain are lighting up when you're in a flow state, and those areas are quite different than when you're doing something like editing. So the crux of what works for me, at least, is separating your editing in your writing process. He says that he turns off his inner critic to focus solely on creation, basically so that his brain doesn't have to multitask. Separating writing from editing at the same time can allow you to write more words. Sarah Cannon also talks about this, where you want to just get the story out first. Don't worry about having the perfect words and sentences, because you will go back and edit. So to write faster, you need to just get the words on the page and worry about editing later. This makes some sense to me because I always have to go back and edit my work anyways, but it will be tough for me to shut out my inner editor. So this one will take some time getting used to. However, the next 2 hacks greatly help with writing that zero or bad draft. Hack number 4, use placeholders. Now, this is something that I kind of did already, but the method suggested by several authors here is a way for me to level up my writing speed. Bethany Altazada, a young adult writer and author of the Stolen Kingdom series, says that using placeholders is super valuable for fast drafting because it keeps you moving forward. And she explains why you might want to use placeholders and offers several ways to use them. A lot of writers do this differently, but it boils down to when you can't find the right word that you want, you just put a little note to yourself in some way, shape, or form, and you come back to it later. So for example, a lot of times this could be character names or places or maybe specific world building aspects that are going on, or maybe even just things like, I know I want a better verb here, but I just don't have it right now. Put things in parentheses and put something like, write this later. And a lot of time I'll actually use the comment feature and I will just highlight the spot and I will put write later or fix this or just something simple. You can easily word search parentheses. Other writers I know will use the highlighter and they will put like yellow highlighter over anything that's clearly not done. So there are 2 parts to this idea. 1, figure out what you will use for a placeholder so you can keep moving through your draft. And 2, make sure your placeholder is searchable so that you can find it later. Both Meg Latour and Alexa Dunn also like placeholders, but they use brackets in a similar method of using the parentheses. And then Shaylin Bishop says that she likes using the letters T and K as a placeholder because those 2 letters don't appear together in any words, which makes it easier to do a search and find. This hack may not work for all writers, especially for those who don't like writing out of order because you do have to skip over sections to keep going. But the idea is to not let it slow you down and get out that bad draft. Before we move on to the last hack, if you're finding value in this training content, please take a moment to work out that like button. Hack number 5, the Pomodoro technique. If you're familiar with writing word sprints, then this is just a specific type of sprinting that seems to work well for many writers, and it greatly helps with the idea of writing that first bad draft. Sarah Cannon, author of the Shadows Demon Saga, explains the idea in her video, Write Faster Using the Pomodoro Techniques for Writers. The Pomodoro technique is a time management method developed by Francesco Cirillo in the late 1980s. This technique teaches you to work with time instead of struggling against it. It uses a timer to break work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes in length, separated by short breaks. Each interval is known as a pomodoro, from the Italian word for tomato, after the tomato-shaped kitchen timer Cirillo used as a university student. For those 25 minutes, he would work on a single project without splitting his focus. When the time was up, he made a visual check mark for his accomplishment, took a 3 to 5 minute break, and then set the timer for another 25 minutes. After getting 4 check marks, he would take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes to clear his mind, and then he would come back to his work and start again. Cannon notes that there are variations of how many sprints could be done and the length of the sprints and the breaks themselves. But the main idea is to sprint the entire time of set minutes. Cannon loves this method as the sprints have pushed her to write more, and she doesn't worry if her words aren't perfect. Instead, she's able to focus for those 25 minutes and write as much as she can. Other writers like Meg Latour and Shaylin Bishop have also discussed the benefits of the Pomodoro technique with the goal of writing faster. These 5 hacks could potentially help me toward writing faster, but there are 2 other things to consider when it comes to the mechanics of putting words onto the page, which have little to do with the writing process. First, there's dictation. The idea is you can talk faster than you can write, and this is a technique that I have considered, but I haven't tried it yet, and it may not work for everyone. Courtney has a great video discussing her experience with dictation and the best program she's worked with. Second is learning how to type faster. YouTuber Ali Abdal discusses ways to improve typing speed in his video, How I Type Really Fast, 156 words per minute. He offers many tips, but the one I liked is where he says to treat typing as a game where it is a skill that can be improved, and he suggests various free typing games found online. Even Sarah Cannon talks about a game she played to learn how to type faster, so perhaps there is something to this idea that I can learn from. I'm so excited to try these new hacks to write faster and be more productive in my writing life, especially now since I'm writing the 3rd book in my series Clash of Goddesses. Let me know if you try any of them and how they work for you. I will put all the links for the authors' videos in the description box below so you can learn more from them if you're interested. Before you go, I want to shout out again that my debut novel is on pre-order for anyone interested in a YA fantasy about an ungrateful leprechaun and a scheming goddess who show just a bit too much interest in the lives of 2 mortal girls living in 3rd century Ireland. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and happy writing!